Hey everyone, it's May. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a Little Fires Everywhere book and TV review slash comparison. I was originally going to attach this to my summer reads and watches video and then realized that that really wouldn't work because this really needs just to be its own thing because I have so much to say about it. So if you haven't heard of Little Fires Everywhere, I'll just give you the basic premise. I don't know why you'd want to watch this whole video if you haven't read it or watched the show, but basically it's about two women are kind of the main characters, but it's really about their families as well. It's Elena Richardson, and she is married to her husband and she has 4 children. They live in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is a suburb, and then Mia Warren, who's a single mother, moves in to Elena's rental property, her and her daughter Pearl. And it's about the kids' friendships and relationships and about the escalating tension between the mothers. Elena has a friend named Linda who has tried for years to get pregnant and was never successful and has tried to adopt, and there was this abandoned baby that their social worker found, and they are in the process of adopting that baby. She's a year old. They have her first birthday party, and basically her mom comes back into the picture wanting custody of her child even though she abandoned her, and Mia and Elena end up on opposing sides of the case, and Elena's husband is the lawyer for Linda, and it ends up into this huge conflict, and basically it's just more drama between the moms and the kids and everyone until it escalates into their house burning down, which is not a spoiler because it literally says that in the very first chapter. So, but it's like, you know that from the beginning, so it's just like seeing how it got there. Yeah, so that's the non-spoiler section, but let's get into it. So I'll discuss the book a little bit first and kind of how I thought of it, and then the TV show, and then I'll do some comparisons and talk about what it changed and what I liked and what I didn't like. The book took me quite a while to read. It was very hard for me to get into just because of the point of view. Maybe this is how some people like to read, but I personally like to get into the character's mind more, so whether it's first person or third person, even if it switches points of view, I want to be with that character for at least a chapter to kind of get into their mind and follow them. The way this book was written, it was from third person omniscient. Why am I not holding the book? I literally have it. I should have been like, hi, this is what I'm talking about today. Anyway, this is the book. I'm showing it to you now. Anyway, it's from third person omniscient, and it's like an all-knowing omniscient narrator. So it'll just jump from person to person within the chapter, even in the same scene, and you get different people's thoughts on the same issue in the same time frame, and even jumping into the future, saying what someone did 10 years later or how they never forgot about a certain event. So very different way of telling a story than I'm used to, and just for me it wasn't that engaging, so I found myself a little bit bored throughout a lot of it. However, I think that this lent itself really well to TV, and I think the TV show really brought the story to life in a way that worked so much better for me personally. I'm not trying to bash on the book at all. Like, the writing itself, it wasn't bad or anything. I still thought it was a great story. It just wasn't engaging for me personally. But on the TV show, I was super into it, and I couldn't stop watching it. I watched it in just a couple days. It's only 8 episodes, it's just a mini series, and I think they did such a great job of portraying the story on TV, and that omniscient kind of point of view just works really well as a TV show because you're seeing different scenes juxtaposed against each other, kind of like it'll have like 2 really big scenes. Like I think they did the symphony performance. No, what did they do? No, that's not possible because Elena was there. Or no, it was homecoming and the birthday party on the same night. They'd cut between like the parents and the kids, or like what was happening. I just thought it was really well done, and I'm so glad they did a TV show and not a movie because I feel like they were able to develop things so much more. They wove in so many more threads and made the story even more complex in the TV show, whereas in a movie they would have had to take so much stuff out to fit it into that hour, 30-minute, 2-hour time frame. So I really enjoyed the show. So with that, let's talk about the main differences. So okay, one of the main differences is that the TV show really ramped up the conflict way sooner. The book, there was so much setup before we actually got to any tension. I found myself reading and being like, what is the conflict? Like, it took so long for me to become engaged. Like, I don't even think Mirabelle was introduced until like page 100 or something. So to me, it was just like hard to get into it for that reason, as well as the point of view, because it just took so long to set the conflict up, which it's hard to do when you're writing. Like, I'm guilty of this. I like just writing the setup parts, but to keep readers engaged, I feel like it's important to introduce the conflict as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be like on page 2, but at least some hint of something going on. I don't know, is what it felt like to me. the TV show, which partly could have been just because like on TV they want to keep people engaged and watching, everything ramped up so much faster. Like everything between Mia and Elena was more dramatic at the beginning, and their big fight came way sooner in the story. That changed a lot. Ruo's portrayal. Who is that? Ruo? Ruvo. Rio. Whose name starts with an R? Ruvo? I can't read my own writing. It says Rio's portrayal. Ruvo. I cannot read that. Anyway, another reason this wasn't my favorite book ever was just that I found most of the characters kind of unlikable and hard to understand and get into their head. I do feel like the TV show actually, if anything, made them more unlikable for me, but it was still engaging. I really liked Pearl. We liked Pearl, but everyone else, like, it was just so hard for me to like get behind anything they did. Like, and can we just say Reese Witherspoon absolutely killed the game playing Elena Richardson. Like, I could not think of a better actress to play her. It reminded me so much of her role as Madeline Mackenzie in Big Little Lies. Like, she just plays that suburban housewife who has to have everything perfect, like, so well. Like, that role was made for her, literally. But I hate her in the show and the book. Well, no, I guess I like Linda. Linda and Mark and Pearl. But everyone else, no. Just no. Izzy annoyed me so much, and she annoyed me even more in the TV show. She was so unnecessarily rude to her mom and was just a brat, like just flat out a brat. And I understand that like when, and oh my god, their conflict was done, it was done so well, but I understand that when there's conflict like that between a mom and a child, the child just wants to act out more because the mom gets mad and they just want to make it worse. But just some of the things she did, like her mom's paying for her to go to this orchestra camp. It seems like she likes playing violin and she doesn't want to dress up for the concert. Her mom's like, but I bought you that nice dress. And she's like, well, it's not me. Like, I don't care if it's you. It's a concert. You have to dress nice. Like, what, you think you should get special treatment and get to wear some flashy outfit because you want to? Like, what? And then she sat there and wrote, "Not your puppet" on her forehead. Oh, she's not her mom's puppet because she couldn't wear something nice for the concert and she sat there and didn't play. Like, what a brat. And same thing with the Christmas shoes. Like, these simple tasks that would be so easy, and she just wanted to provoke her mom more. Like, I get it, but it was just, it made me hate her. So I really liked in the book how the orchestra scene was. I thought it was so funny, the part with the toothpicks, because basically in the book, Izzy sees, which this still happens in the show, where the teacher says, in the book it was to this girl named Deja, and I think they changed it in the show, but basically the teacher's picking on this girl because she can't play the right violin part, and she has Izzy demonstrate it because she's doing it right. Izzy breaks the conductor's stick. And then, so Izzy talks to Mia after that, and Mia's like, we should do something about it. And so she puts toothpicks in all the doors around the school because Mia's like, you can't just do something to target that teacher. You have to make it seem like it could be anyone. And so they put toothpicks in the like keyholes on all the doors in the classrooms, and then no one can unlock their door in the morning. And it was like the funniest scene in the book. Like, that was so entertaining. And they left it out of the show because that's when they started weaving in the thread of Izzy being bullied by that nasty girl, April, who's like my least favorite character of this whole thing. So I get why they changed it, because they needed to start that thread, but I really wish they could have worked that in somehow. I feel like they still could have. And then when the teacher Peter Pan's, like, that was freaking hilarious. Like, I wish they had kept that. Yeah, it was hard to watch the conflict between Izzy and Elena. Like, it was very hard to watch that conflict between mother and daughter. It was a little bit different in the book. In the book, it was that Izzy was just a really difficult baby. Elena always felt this need to like overprotect her because she was such like a fragile baby who had all these problems. But in the show, she didn't want that for the child. And it was like she really wanted to go back to work and start like getting a promotion or something after having her third child, and then she found out she was pregnant again. It's like that's where the resentment started. So I feel like that's so different. Like, they really amped it up in the show, like having that behind it, and then she actually tells her that later in the show. It's so hard to watch. Yeah, just going back to what I said, like, I get why Izzy was acting out just because of that. Like, they've always had this conflict and she just wants to make her mom more mad. But it was just like so frustrating to watch her be like so unnecessarily rude. But I did feel bad. Like, I felt sympathy for Izzy with the whole April thing. Like, that was devastating to watch that, like that whole thing play out when it does the flashback. I was like, and then when she goes over to April's to get the Cabbage Patch dolls, and April's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're lying. You do not mean it. You're lying. And the next day at school, what do you know? April bullies her again. Like, no. Just, no. Okay, so let's talk about Lexi now. I felt much more sympathy for her in the book than the show, because basically we have these two events of her college application essay and the abortion, and I felt like the show did it so much differently, and personally I like the way it was done in the book better, but in the show with the other threads they weaved in, I feel like it did work, but I was not here for Lexi in the show. I mean, I still felt sympathy for her when she had the abortion and everything, but it was less. Because in the book, what happens is she has to write this college application essay for Yale. You have to write your own story or something, like a fictional story. And she's like, I can't do this. And Pearl's like, yeah, I can write it for you. Like, I'm really good at that stuff. And she's like, okay, so not okay, right? Like, Pearl's writing her essay for her, but Pearl volunteered. So it's not like the same thing as in the show, where basically Pearl is told that she can't get into the next math class or whatever. She was trying to, I think she was trying to take Algebra 2. She was put in geometry, and the guy was like, oh, like, we don't really, like, let people go into the next level that have, like, switched schools a lot. Like, you really haven't gotten the whole thing. And she's like, but I took it. Like, I took the class even though it was split up. Lexi was, like, thinking it was okay to use that and make it her experience, even though Pearl was facing race-based discrimination. She was like, I was told that I couldn't take this math class because I was a girl and blah blah blah. And then it's this whole thing where her boyfriend Brian finds out, and then that's kind of what ends up being their downfall later. It's like kind of the beginning of the end of their relationship, honestly, because he sees why it's wrong and she doesn't see why it's wrong to take someone's story and make it your own like that. In the book, using Pearl's name when she got her abortion was like an isolated instance of like using Pearl, whereas in the show it was a chain of events of using Pearl. And I also felt like it was more believable in the book, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it went down, where in the book she called to make an appointment beforehand as soon as she knew her mom was going to be out of town. And when they asked her what her name was on the phone, she panicked and said Pearl Warren because it was the only name she could think of, because someone her mom knew worked at the clinic and she didn't want word getting back. In the show, it showed her at the clinic filling out a form and putting Pearl's name. She walked in, she didn't make an appointment ahead of time. And then when Pearl saw it, she was like, why did you do that? And Lexi's like, it's the only name I can think of. Like, you're sitting there with a form in your hand. Say your name is Lila Smith. Like, why did you put Pearl's name if you're just sitting there with the form? I feel like it would have been so easy for them to keep her calling to make an appointment and panicking on the phone. At least that would have made it a little bit more believable in the show. And again, tell me if I'm wrong, I might be misremembering that. But anyway, and then I don't know, I like the whole scene in the book after Lexi's abortion where Mia was comforting her and she stayed the night, and Mia and her have this whole conversation where she's like, did I do the right thing? And Mia's like, I can't tell you that, only you know that. And she felt very much sympathy for her. It was a big moment of connection between them, and it really strengthened that. Lexi connecting with Pearl, Mia connecting, or why do I keep saying that? No. These names mixed up. Lexi connecting with Mia and Pearl connecting with Elena, because that was still very much in the show, but in the show, Mia was like, okay, yeah, Lexi, you can stay here, but as soon as Pearl told her what happened, she was not nice to her the next day, which, fair, right? Like, she used her daughter, but I just really wanted that to be a moment of sympathy and connection and, like, heartfelt moment, and it wasn't in the show. Okay, we're almost done. I'm, like, not sure about this change. Like, I could go either way. Basically, in the book, there's this moment where Mia's trying to have, like, the sex talk with Pearl because she sees her hanging out with Moody all the time, even though Moody's not the one she's with, as we know, and is saying, also, that was different in the show. I know, okay, we're gonna go off on a tangent, is that she told her mom about the trip, like, right away, and I swear that didn't happen in the book. Oh my god, it was so different. There were so many things, like the knocking with Mia and Pearl, too. I loved that detail. There were so many good little details they put in the show. But anyway, back to this. Mia says, you know how it goes. And then she's like, well, actually, I don't know. Like, thinking that because she's never experienced that. She, as we know, had Mia being like a surrogate, and she had never actually been with anyone. And I thought that was a really powerful moment. We don't know Mia's sexuality, like if she's asexual, it's not like confirmed, but I thought that was unique, I guess, to have like a single mom like not be able to relate, or just a mom not being able to relate to her daughter in that way. And it was a really strong moment, and in the movie, the TV show, it completely changed that. And like, I was here for the Mia and Pauline thing. I was like, okay, like I see it, they did that well, but like, I wish they had kept that. But I get why they changed it, because like changing Izzy's thread and making her gay in the TV show was then she was able to connect with Mia really strongly there. So I guess it worked, but I still just wish we could have had that in the show. So I know there's like lots of changes that I'm missing, like they change literally so much, but these are just like some of the things I wanted to talk about. So I know this has already been forever, but the next thing I wanted to talk about was Jamie. In the book, I don't remember if his name was Jamie, but basically it was just this guy at Elena's high school who was like a hippie and said, hey, do you want to travel across the states with me? And she was like, oh no, I should continue on the path that I had planned for myself, or something like that. But in the show, it was actually this guy she was with. It was like her boyfriend in college. They were studying abroad in Paris, and he decided to stay. And she was like, no, it's not part of my plan, I'm going home. I really like the way the show did that whole thing up, because it really made it seem like Elena had so much more of a what if in Jamie than just some random hippie guy at her high school. And of course Jamie was actually in it, she went to see him, and it was like this whole thing, and then it turned into this whole thing with her and her husband, because I forget if it was like the telephone number of the restaurant or their bill for what they ate that evening or something, and he sees it. Oh my god. But anyway, I thought that was done really well in the show, because it really made it seem like she missed out on something real. And then finally we have the ending, which I liked so much better in the book. Basically the way it goes down in the book is it's morning and everyone is gone except for Elena and Izzy. I think Lexi's at Serena's house, Trip is playing basketball, Moody's at the library or something, and Bill is at work on a Saturday like cleaning up the office or something, and Izzy sets the house on fire and runs away. And in the movie, oh my god, I mean not the movie, I keep saying movie, the TV show was so different. So it's the middle of the night, and I don't know, I think Bill went on a drive, but all the kids and Elena are there, and Izzy starts trying to set a fire. She like has the gasoline and the lighter, and then Lexi finds her and is like, what are you doing, blah blah blah. And that's when Izzy finds, oh, I'm forgetting exactly how this goes down. I forget if Izzy found out that Mia and Pearl left and then started to set the fire, or something makes her run away before she even starts the fire, and she just runs away and gets on a bus because she wants to find Mia and Pearl. Then the rest of the kids set the house on fire. And like, okay, I'll give it to them, it was much more dramatic, but like, it didn't sell me on like how everyone's character would suddenly decide to set the house on fire. Like, Izzy was a brat and she was really upset with the entire world, so I feel like she would have done that. But from the other characters, they seemed pretty level-headed most of the time. I wasn't buying it for why they would actually set their house on fire. That scene was very dramatic, but I just wasn't there for it. I don't know. And then I can't believe they changed the portraits. That was possibly my favorite part of the book. At the end, when Mia leaves a portrait of everyone, because it connects to before when Elena's like, oh, you do photography? I would love for you to do a portrait of our family. And she's like, well, I don't really do that. People who want their portraits taken, they want their portrait to show how they want to be seen, but I photograph people how I see them. And so what she leaves for them aren't photographs of them at all, but things that represent them. Like Lexi's is her slip, her release slip from the clinic, torn up and woven into a basket with something inside, I don't remember what, because Mia told Lexi that getting that abortion was something she'd just have to carry with her. So it's like showing that she could carry it, and I feel like it was such good closure at the end, and it like tied up everyone's character development, and it was so beautifully done. And the TV show, they just completely scrapped that and did something else, and I was like, what? Why did you change that? Like, that, like, no. I was so sad that they changed that, and it was just Elena, I think. I don't even think anyone else was there with her, and it was like this town, and it was, I honestly forget what happened in the show. It was something, it was, Mia had like made this little paper mache town of Shaker Heights, and she showed like the cage with the bird, but it was basically just Elena, like no one else got their portrait. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I feel like that was so scattered, even though I did take notes beforehand. I was prepared. I didn't even talk about the whole, that was literally just the family. I didn't even talk about the court case. I mean, yeah, like a lot of that was different. The way it went down at the beginning was different, like Mia taking the photograph and everything. Honestly, that part just made me hate Mia so much. Like, I don't know, I don't want to like, I was personally on the adoptive parent side. I feel like I always am, just because I feel so much more sympathy for someone who's tried to have a child for so long and the heartbreak of it all. I felt the same way in The Light Between Oceans, if you guys have read that. I actually have it right here. This was such a good book, but it killed me. And this was a different situation. It's kind of the same conflict, but also different. The whole thing is so complex. In this one, they found the baby and raised it, but then at some point figured out that the mom was still alive, and I forget exactly what happened, but she did not abandon her baby. It was like people were after her husband, and her husband had the baby, and he had to go in, he like went out on a boat into the ocean. It was not like her husband took the baby from her. He was getting ambushed and had to take the baby into the ocean. She thought they both died. Oh, it was bad. Because like this escalated it so much, because it was like they literally raised the baby for years, and it's like a toddler. It's like 4 or 5 or something, and it's like you're gonna take it away from the only parents that knows, like at the same time, like, oh my god. Okay, but anyway, I always feel more sympathy, like even in this situation, like for the adoptive parents, because they wanted a child so badly, and they've tried and tried and tried and had heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. Like it literally, like I wanted to throw something at the ending when Phoebe steals her child. I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I can see both sides, but in Little Fires Everywhere, like, to me, it was just like, I understand her situation, but she abandoned the child, she gave up the rights to it. I'm sorry. You can go somewhere else, you can start a family later in your life, but you abandoned this child, and, like, that's it. And the court case literally ruled that they had the right to keep the child, and she stole it. Okay. So that really frustrated me. Like, I feel like out of everyone in this show, I felt the most sympathy for Linda, especially at the end. I was like, oh my god. You just had this baby, you finally thought you had your child after years and years of trying and heartbreak. You have this baby for months. It's almost officially adopted. And then someone steals it. So anyway, those were my thoughts on this book. This was all over the place. Please, please, please let me know what you guys thought and what you liked about the book and TV show and how you felt about the changes and everything down below. Please give this video a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!